We actually started the band as an acoustic duo back in
A
Singapore.
positive name kind of helps. It's like everything's coming up roses, even if we are
Yeah,
really going through down the dumps.
Oh, this is actually one of the most interesting band forming stories ever. The Singapore connection in college and the broken hand and the guitarist who's still not sure he's in the band.
And I've tried to speak in Mandarin because I have Chinese heritage, and it was a struggle, but I entertain.
You did pretty good.
All right, here we are again. Cupchairs artist interviews. Today we are talking with Coming Up Roses. We're talking with Emily, Caleb, Charlie, and Darius. Coming to us, I believe, from London. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Great. I got that right. Let's have you all introduce yourselves individually and tell me a little bit about the band.
Can we start from the which side?
This side. Hi, I'm
Side.
Charlie. I play the guitar.
My name is Caleb and I'm the drummer.
I'm Emily and I play the bass and I sing.
And I'm Darius, I play guitar.
Yeah, tell me about the band. How long have you been together? You play many shows? Like, set me up for what the band is like.
Well, with these guys, we've been playing since 2022 or
Yeah, 2022.
Two?
But yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, God, is it 3 years we were doing this?
No, wait.
Right? 2023.
We've not been here for 3 years, so we can't say
Okay, no.
So probably 2023.
2023 with these guys, but we actually started the band as an acoustic duo back in Singapore in 2018. And yeah, we spent a good few years in Singapore doing stuff there in the local scene, and it was lots of fun. But in 2022, Emily and we decided we wanted to go overseas and sort of do the band full time, because Singapore's music scene is great, but it's also a bit limited just because
We're an island.
we're an island. It's
We're-
like geographic limitations and market limitations.
The thing is, we are half the size of London,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard to keep playing in a small city.
Yeah.
So
And so yeah, we came to London in 2022, met these guys, and slightly later we are here.
slightly later. Not 3 years.
About 3 years. Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad you sorted out the years. It would be terrible. Like the band broke up because of an argument about how long they'd been together.
That's actually a good headline.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah, if you're looking for publicity.
Good
Drummer fired because he thinks we've been together 3 years.
God, mate.
Can you tell me a little bit about the music scene in Singapore? So it is geographically so small. Are there a lot of clubs? Is there a lot of opportunity for original music there?
I would say like in the past there were more, and then COVID happened, and as with everywhere else in the world, lots of venues got affected. And I think since then there are a couple of venues that have popped up, but they're more for like acoustic or smaller venues, not really for loud bands. And I think we're a pretty loud band. But I think it's because we're such a small country or city, we know quite a lot of our peers. Like we have a community, and because there isn't as many places to play, you're bound to like play with
The same.
the same
Yeah.
people or the other bands quite often. So there is that community spirit. I do think there is like after moving here, I moved here thinking that we sounded kind of similar to bands in the UK because I guess we were inspired by lots of UK bands. But after moving here, we kind of realized that's kind of like complementary to, how things are here.
Yeah.
So there are similarities, but also we kind of see that it is a little bit different in sound.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Caleb and Charlie, so they come over from Singapore. How do you hook up and form the band?
Well, yeah, so Darius was my classmate. So I met him on one of the first days at school in uni. we just so happened to sit next to each other. It was a group task where you had to talk to the person next to you, and then all of a sudden I'm in the band. And I'm like, look, it wasn't that easy. But no, they Darius invited me to an audition because they were looking for a new drummer and guitarist, and that's where I met Emily. So that's my story.
Yeah.
Mine's not quite as interesting. I saw they were auditioning for a guitarist on Facebook of all places, which I'd barely used before and haven't used since. So that's a bit of a silly one. Just happened to see that. But yeah, I used to go to the music school where these guys go or went, and that was sort of how I was in that orbit. But yeah, met them all first audition, and I have yet to be fired. So that's kind of smashing it.
To be fair, we did give him a heart attack for like a month because
Oh yeah.
the thing is, like with Caleb, we didn't tell him he was in the band. Like he did the audition, and then the next thing was, "Hey, do you want to audition some guitarists with us?" There was no like.
There was never an official invitation. I'm
So-
still waiting on it till today.
He's not.
They just haven't told me that yet.
As long as the door is unlocked, you're still in the band, right?
Yeah. Where was I going with this? I can't
Oh yeah, so we were auditioning guitarists. So we auditioned Charlie, and then we wanted to do like a second audition. But before we could get to the second audition, Caleb and I were playing football or soccer, and then he was a goalkeeper, and someone hit the hardest shot I've ever seen in my life, and Caleb made the decision to try and save it.
I did save it.
He did save it, but he also like broke his wrist.
Yeah, I did.
And so we were without drummer for like a month, and therefore Charlie was waiting.
Yeah, I was just floating around between auditions, like having stress dreams.
I remember he was like messaging us and like, "Oh, any updates yet on as to like when the second audition could be?" And I was just like, he must be stressing, but like at the
We
same
broke
time,
our drummer. Sorry.
Oh, this is actually one of the most interesting band forming stories ever. The Singapore connection in college, and then broken hand, and the guitarist who's still not sure he's in the band. No, this is good. Okay, so I saw on the band's, I guess that's on the YouTube account. You have a whole video diary of a tour you did of several Asian countries. Now, knowing that you came from Singapore, that helps with the connection a little bit, like logistics or whatever. But like I've had friends in indie bands do Asian tours, and it's a lot of work. I imagine even with the connections, it's still pretty difficult. Tell me a little bit about that tour, like maybe the best show or the worst show, or something that stands out.
Best food we ate. Definitely in Japan. What do you reckon the best show was?
Yeah, like just based on.
So
So
we've got the most important thing out of the way.
to be fair, I think it was our first time doing like a multi-country tour. Like when we done tours before, we just like go to one place and we go to a few cities in that same place, and that's quite straightforward. But like logistics wise, like planning a multi-country tour, that was a bit crazy, but we somehow did it. But also it was the two of them. It was their first time in Asia, like so we made sure we went to like eat everything that we could eat. So we
Yeah.
came back with a few more, a bit rounded.
So good.
Yeah,
So
no,
good.
it would have been a shame to not do that.
Yeah.
We all know about like English food and that.
No, I love many things about England, but yeah, the food is not one thing.
We can agree with you on that one.
I was in college, so I'm in the United States. I'm in Texas, and when I was in college, I took a trip to England and stayed in London for a week or so. And I was so excited to have fish and chips. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. And the fish was great. I mean, it's done really well there. I was so disappointed to find out that chips are just French fries.
What were you rather tortilla chips with your fish?
I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was expecting maybe the batter like formed into. I don't know what.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good
That's a good
idea.
idea.
I'll write that one down.
No, I got fish and chips, and I was like, "Why is this fish and French fries?" But But no, but I still seek out good places for fish and chips to this day in the United States. So it had an impact.
Yeah.
Well, I think like maybe like going back to the tour. It just
Yeah, yeah.
So the thing about me is my mind just goes randomly to like random places and and then this happens. But I thought one thing that was really cool was that in Japan their first language isn't English, but apparently they were able to sing like there were quite a lot of people singing our songs in English, and I thought it was really heartwarming because it's like, you know, you actually see your music kind of transcend. Is it transcend?
Yeah, transcend
boundaries?
language barriers.
Yeah, language barriers, and that was pretty cool. But also to be fair, it's also kind of the same in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bangkok.
Everywhere.
But yeah, except for Singapore, because fun fact is, well, English is technically our first language, but not our national language.
In Singapore. Yeah.
So I guess most Singaporeans would be able to speak English quite proficiently. But for the rest of the countries, it was really nice to just see people that don't really speak English sing to your songs. And then I've tried to speak in Mandarin because I have Chinese heritage, and it was a struggle, but I entertained.
You did pretty good.
Yeah, and then these guys tried speaking Japanese.
Oh.
I don't remember any of it. Yeah, it was mostly just profanity anyway.
How did you go about? I'm thinking for other artists who watch this video. So booking the shows and travel and stuff provides that level of challenge. But you had people at your shows singing your songs, so they had heard the songs multiple times before. How did you market beforehand so that people would know your songs? Or did you already have a built-in following there before you even booked the tour?
The problem has been catching the UK side up to that point, really. Because when we put out the last EP, it did a lot better in Asia. I think it's just because of the playlist we're on and things, but it was always the top of the demographics was Taiwan. So yeah, it's fun. You kind of forget that there is that following over there when you're doing gigs around here, and you're still building things up.
I think because we're still in our infancy. I mean, we're 2 years in
the UK.
Year. Yeah, in the UK. And the first year was kind of us just trying to be a band again, like, because, we didn't really know them very much, and they might not be in the band still. So there was lots of catching up to do. But then, like, I would say within the last year or so, we kind of really got into the rigor. But even then, I think we've not played as much here compared to like us kind of playing in Singapore. But then also we've been to Taiwan before, so that helped. We played at a festival, which then gave us the exposure. The festival is called Luck Fest. And then surprisingly in Bangkok, there were more people than I thought there would be. So that was kind of cool, but I don't really know how we got there. Maybe just social media ads, or I'm not sure.
And for like Japan, we actually had worked with like a Japanese label in the past called Dreamwaves Records, and so they did our first and second EP. They sort of like pressed it on CDs, which is a really big thing in Japan. And so it was in places like Tower Records in Japan and stuff. So I think somehow or another, the music community there caught wind of what we were doing somehow. And then when we decided to do the tour, like people responded and came to the shows. And it was really cool to see because we never touched both Thailand or Japan before the tour last year.
Wow.
And we didn't know what to expect really, but it was really heartwarming to see people come out to the shows and have merch already asking us to sign it. We were like, how do you even have this? And there's some like long story like, oh yeah, I was here and then I saw this in the shop and
Yeah. There was one person that brought our first EP's vinyl. And I was like, wait, what? It means that you've been following us for some time. And he was like, yeah, can you get this signed? I'm like, of course, because like that's like it's so cool that you even remember to bring
Yeah.
and also interestingly, when we went on tour, like people there really like supporting us by buying t-shirts. So you have like people who can't even fit into the t-shirt but wanting to buy the t-shirt just because they like the design.
Yeah.
So that's like quite nice to also see.
No, that's really cool. So in planning, I mean, this is good advice for any artist. It sounds like you did this. Maybe looked at your Spotify stats or just your social media stats of where things were, where the fans were at.
Yeah.
That helps. Yeah, I think a lot of artists don't necessarily do that. They get a gig in a big city and then just fill in a bunch of dates, but don't really plan. Like they go to the cities they think will be good instead of the cities you know will be good. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I want to talk a little bit. You've got some big things coming up here. The new single coming up, Roses, comes out April 11th, and that date is locked in. You're doing a show to release the single on the 12th. That is at the Etc. Theatre in London. And then I'm going to go ahead and say you have to put out the full album in June. Yeah, tell me a little bit about, you have a video done for the song already.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was maybe the inspiration for the video or putting it together? How did that all come together?
Well, so the song's called "I'm in Bed," and it's about being stuck in your bed. Funnily enough, because you're overwhelmed. This is Emily's spiel.
But he's got it all.
But anyway,
he's had it so
in
many
my
times.
head, thinking about music videos, it was just like, well, obviously we're gonna have Emily in bed, can't get out of bed, but we're gonna take her around and try and help her do the things that she needs to do. And then sort of as that idea went on, it ended up being that we were going to do a gig and that we have to get her there without her being able to get out of bed. But yeah, it's really good fun. We just did that over 3 days. These guys were so great on camera as well. Whenever I wanted them to do anything that's just a bit silly or like they just nail it. And it yeah, it's a very silly video. But yeah, really good fun to make as well.
That's super cool. Now I see at the launch show, the tickets are come with a free drink. Like that is a good way.
We thought we'd be better off sticking the price up by £1 than making sure everyone gets a drink. It's quite a small. It's like because we're going to be showing the video there. It's quite a small capacity venue. So it's probably just going to be people who are really into the stuff and friends in personally and also like musically that we've gathered. So it'll obviously be a right good piss up afterwards. Piss up in American. We're gonna get drunk in the pub downstairs. So yeah, it's gonna be good.
Oh, that's great. I love the idea of packaging something in with the admission cost. It reminds me of it was back in 2005. Prince did a tour, and by 2005 he wasn't getting any radio airplay or anything like that. He was still putting out like 3 albums a year, but they weren't making a splash. So on this tour, when you bought a ticket, when you went in the venue, and this is the entire tour, you get a free CD. But the way that he did it was you were buying the CD with your ticket. So it means if he sold out Madison Square Garden for 20,000 people, he sold 20,000 CDs that night. So his album immediately went to #1. The recording industry was like, no, that's cheating, and they made a Prince rule that you can't do that anymore.
We're looking to Happy Meals. Maybe we can.
Yeah. So it won't get you a #1 record, but I think it gets more people in the door. Or at least makes people think, oh, there's a little bit more value here. Like they want to support you and everything, but gosh, if you get a free drink.
Yeah, especially like venue prices. I don't know how it is in America, but it's a little more at the bar and stuff, which is completely good for. I'm chatting bollocks, aren't I? More expensive because they need a bit more support, but chuck in a free beer. It sweetens the deal and creates the atmosphere that we desire.
No, absolutely. So after the single is, I mean, I'm already looking down the road. You're like, we're not even to that show yet.
Yeah.
Do you have plans to tour regionally around there, or do another larger tour, or just bask in the glow of the album throughout the rest of 2025?
Depends how much glow there is.
Yeah, I mean, we are planning stuff. So there's a bunch of stuff in the pipeline that I don't think we can really announce yet, but we're definitely having a few shows here. We love to go back to Asia, and we love to go to the States as well. I think that's the one place we haven't really had the chance to play. The closest we got was we did Canadian Music Week, which is in Toronto, which is
Yeah.
as far as that continent is to be concerned.
Yeah,
We were invited to play a showcase festival, but couldn't get the flight money together. So if anyone wants to, American band Sugar Daddy, not necessarily you, not necessarily not either. No.
I've definitely got tens of thousands of dollars just sitting right here.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
How convenient! That's what we're after.
I've been looking for a band to fly to the States. I couldn't find anybody who wanted to do it. I've invited every band because I'm interviewing more bands in the UK than other places. I'm in Austin, Texas, and it's a great music city. So if you
South by Southwest is there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. One of my friends actually is one of my former bandmates from Taiwan. We were in a band together in the States and in New York City for a little while. He celebrated, I think, 25 years straight of being denied or declined by South by Southwest.
Oh.
Like another year, another decline. No, it was funny. It's interesting hearing about your tour experience because we were living in New York City at the time, and his band did do a similar thing. Played a festival in Japan, and he's from Taiwan, so they did some shows in Taiwan. I love hearing a similar story a couple decades later, but it's always good to hear a perspective of just it's such a difficult thing to do. What I'm so glad is that you documented it well, because you'll be watching those videos for the rest of your lives.
We also had some lovely people looking after us when we were there as well. Like all the bands that we played with were so keen to go out for a little adventure and food and that after.
even with language barriers.
Yeah, we couldn't really understand each other, but it doesn't matter.
I heard almost all of them say bottle of water at some point as well.
That's really cool. I think that's my favorite part about touring is just the bands you meet on the bill or the bar staff or the sound guy or whatever, and then you get invited to a house or a restaurant afterwards and just hang out and visit and get to make new friends all over the place.
100%.
Hopefully. Are there any other things you want to touch on? I mean, you've got a lot coming up soon. You've done a lot. We know who you are. We haven't talked about Coming Up Roses. Where did that name come from? Was that already in existence? Or did the four of you come together and then choose it?
So I think we chose the band name before we even started playing.
We chose the band name when we were an acoustic duo.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like kind of sweet, right? And to be fair, we almost became a pop band that played songs like Bruno Mars. Treasure was one of the first covers that we were trying to do. Just didn't really sit very well. And then I was like, okay, let's just see what we create. And then we created whatever we created. And then I was like, okay, maybe we should change our name, but it just stuck. And I think Darius came up with the name.
Yeah, and it was just based off the phrase "everything's coming up roses." Though many people have suggested other things, and so depending on our mood that day, I'll be like, yeah, that's totally the reason why we chose that name. So, so just to list a few off, we've got the
Pepsi musical.
we got an Elliott Smith song. There's an Elliott Smith song called Coming Up Roses. If you've seen the film Begin Again, the one with Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley, they have a song in there called Everything's Coming Up Roses or something about coming up roses.
Yeah.
And then there's also like a song by this alt rock band called Curve. And they've also got a song called Coming Up Roses. So those are just some off the top of my head of people saying it must be from there, and then we're like, not really, but sure. If it...
But also like there's this thing about manifesting your destiny, but also you are also destined to do whatever you want to do, right? And so like I think kind of having kind of a positive name kind of helps. It's like everything's coming up roses, even if we are really like, you know, going through down the dumps as a band. It's fine because everything will come and come good. And so that kind of like speaks to, well, at least to me, that speaks to like who I am. Like you can hear that our songs are always kind of like sometimes sad or sometimes negative or pessimistic, but there's always that silver lining at the end where it's like everything will be fine. Everything will, but yeah, it's just a good way for me to, at least, I don't know about these guys, I don't talk about these things with them, but it's a good way for me to be like, everything will be fine. As long as I think it will be fine, it will be fine. So therefore, having a good positive band name is very encouraging.
No, that's interesting. A lot of bands will have maybe the spiritual one, the business one, and then you have the musician who just likes playing, who doesn't care what the band name is just gonna show up and play.
Me.
Not that you don't care, but just we could call it anything, and I just want to play music, you know, just whatever. I love those roles in the band.
Should we change our band name to like lots of money so that we can manifest lots of money?
The thing is, funny that you brought that up, because I literally asked Caleb the other day, can we be like the Pink Pony Club? Would you join our band still if our
If
name
you were
was...
thought.
Or something like that. I can't remember if that's what I said. Something with
Yeah.
pink.
And I was like, as long as the music's great, I'm happy to. You know?
There you go. I think there was a really weird period, I feel, in the 90s with American alt rock, where there were all of these one-word title bands.
Oh
You
yeah.
had Sponge and Filter and Saliva and just, I mean, Tool even though it's a different
Right,
genre.
in the kitchen, right?
But it was like the era of just naming your band a random noun. Ceiling fan tonight. Yeah, no, I like it. To me, it Coming Up Roses has some action behind it. There's a verb and there's a noun, and it gives you a picture. I recently interviewed a band called Blue Nicotine, and they were really not named after cigarettes at all, but the color blue was something that they just said, you know, before they had chosen their band name, people would just, blue always came up in conversation, that it sounds blue. And it wasn't blues music and it wasn't sad. It was just the color that it evokes. So I do think, you know, you're not going to dress up in all rose suits or anything like that, but maybe.
Oh, no.
But yeah, you know, roses are nice, and you all seem like very wonderful, nice, nice people. But they have thorns, so watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great. Yeah, go.
Yeah, that's true.
What's that?
Oh, I was just saying that at least it's coming up roses, not coming up rose, like just one rose and the rest.
Just the thorns.
Yeah.
We'll not say what that fella said. Networking. Right.
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, we went to this networking event at Tyler in London. And we were chatting to this fella, and me and Darius, talk about coming up roses. And we show him a picture or something. He's like, "Oh, I get it. So, she's the rose and you're the thorns." But then he said, "Where was he from?"
Yeah, there's a Thai saying that
Yeah.
apparently, like, you know, rose among the thorns. It's also, they have a saying that it's shit. Or flies among the shit. And it
So we're
means
the flies and she's the shit. Which in England actually, if she's the shit, like that's a compliment.
Yeah.
She's the shit.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean, yeah.
probably in America as well. I don't know.
The next band could be Emily Rose and the Thorns.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, hey, thank you for taking time. I think we've hit a lot of things. I think we've gotten to know the band a little bit. Coming Up Roses, everybody, check them out. They're very active on social media. Go watch their whole Asian tour. I have not made it through all the videos, but I made it through a lot of them, and there's some definitely some fun things to watch. So thank you guys for being a part of this, for talking with Cupchairs.
Thank you.
Best of luck.